All right, Sue, thanks so much. 7:31 right now. L.A. County Supervisor Sheila Kuehl is denying any wrongdoing after L.A. County Sheriff's deputies raided her home yesterday morning. Deputies say the search warrant is part of an ongoing public corruption investigation. Investigators also searched the home of Kuehl's close friend, Patty Giggins. Giggins' nonprofit receiving a contract to run a sexual harassment tip line for Metro passengers. Well, this morning, there are still a lot of questions about the purpose of the raid and the history, of course, between Kuehl and the Sheriff's Department. And here to talk about all of this and more is Loyola Marymount law professor Jessica Levinson. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us this morning. There's just so much we could talk to you about this, so much to unpack here. Let's start with why this raid now? Good morning.
Good morning. I think because of the statute of limitations, there's a pretty lengthy affidavit in this case. It's almost 40 pages. And what's stated in there is why now? Because the statute of limitations on some of these crimes, again, Sheila Kuehl has not been indicted, has not been charged with anything, but to the extent that she might be on some of these crimes, run soon. So that's why we have this time pressure here.
But didn't the DA's office look at this like last year or so, some time ago, and decide that there wasn't enough evidence to prosecute for anything?
Yeah, so I looked at that statement from the DA's office, and what it says, based on the evidence available to us at the time, I think the Sheriff's Department's argument here would be, that's right, and need more evidence. Now, I will say, if we could just step back for 1 minute, I think this is really breaking down along, do you support the sheriff or do you support Sheila Kuehl? And both of these things can be true and false at the same time, meaning we can think that the sheriff is going after Sheila Kuehl way more aggressively than he would go up against basically anybody else because she's been such a vocal critic. We can think essentially that this is a political witch hunt, but it is simultaneously possible that there was in this affidavit probable cause to go into her home, her friend's home, into the nonprofit, into the Metro. So it could absolutely be that he is investigating Sheila Kuehl with way more vigor, with way more tenacity, and trying to find something. But that doesn't detract from the potential that he actually did find something. Now, it may be that at the end of the day, based on this affidavit, all it says is, now go and find whether or not there's evidence of these crimes, not that beyond a reasonable doubt they occurred. So at the end of the day, the conclusion might be exactly the same, which is we're not going to try her. And many of these crimes listed in the affidavit are really difficult to prove because it's what we always talk about. It's this line between what's a cozy relationship versus what is criminal corruption.
Okay, you know what? So here's my thing. I mean, the Sheriff's Department can't just go in and do this unless a judge signs off on this. So a judge, I would think, would not want to just sign off on something like this willy-nilly without there being some type of probable cause. There had to be something presented to that judge that made the judge say, yeah, here's your search warrant.
Well, that's right. So there's this, as we've been talking about, there's this almost 40-page affidavit, and it lays out the facts of what they know so far. And it says that's why there is probable cause. And then I feel like I'm having deja vu all over again from talking about Mar-a-Lago. But the affidavit lists certain crimes and says we believe that there's probable cause that we could find evidence that these crimes were committed. And a judge signed off on that. Now, critics will say judges are just rubber stamps, and this will all be viewed through a political lens. But as you mentioned, this isn't just the sheriff saying, I don't like Sheila Kuehl, let's go into her home. There were some steps that needed to be taken here. And in fact, if you look into the details of the affidavit, it looks like a previous search warrant was granted by a different judge in that case.
Okay, you know what? I know we're really short on time here. I'm already getting the wrap, but I have to ask you this. It looks as though Sheila Kuehl and perhaps one of the other persons searched in this case were tipped off. Is there something nefarious about that? If in fact they were, is there something illegal or criminal about it?
So my understanding is that, in fact, the Attorney General has been asked to look into whether or not there's anything nefarious or illegal. Those are obviously very different things about the fact that Sheila Kuehl said, I think she was very upset, and I think we can all understand why. She said yesterday morning, well, last week the LA Times told me, and then she said, and this week or last night, the Inspector General told me. And absolutely, that is a real question. They'll look into that. I'm not going to say certainly it is criminal, but it's a real question.
Okay. All right. Jessica Levinson, always a pleasure talking to you. You always bring such insight into whatever the subject is. Appreciate you coming on this morning.
Thank you.